my crafty friends, welcome to Wendy's Crafty Life. If you watched my first video, I had some layer references for the front of your cards to keep on your desktop handy, and now these are some card folds I'm going to show you. So let's get to it. The first one I'm going to show you is a fun fold card. It's easy to layer many colors or complements on these cards. They're just a little different fold. They're still the same regular card, fit the same regular envelope. Okay, so here is the fun fold reference. You are going to cut your 8.5 by 11 cardstock in the middle, as usual, to get your 4.5 by 5.5 card size. So once you get your regular card size, you're going to score it in the middle, fold it in half. Now on the front, you're going to score at 1 3/4 inches to make this little flap. So you're going to score at 1 3/4 inches to fold this front flap over. So let's get to the layers. Behind your flap on the front of the card is this layer, which I used like the orange paper. That would be 2 1/4 by 5 1/4 to fill that piece. You don't have to, you can have it plain like that one if you like, and just embellish it. However, the layer size is this. Then you have your fold. Your fold piece, the first layer inside your fold is 1.5 by 5 1/4. And if you want a second layer, then that is 1 1/4 by 5, which is like the green and yellow layer on this card. Now this one here, I put the green layer and I just used a ribbon instead. Then you're going to top with your sentiment. Your sentiment can be a tag, it can be a circle, it can be an oval, a square, anything you want to use to overlap the card. But you want to place it on the card so that it's not sticking outside the edges. So when you put it in the envelope, it will fit. So make sure when you attach your sentiment that you're only attaching it to this part of the flap. Okay? So just make notes and be careful of that. Now for the inside, we have your 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 back. Now inside you're going to have two parts. You're going to have the paper you'll see on the front of the card, and then you're going to have the white that you can write on. Okay? So the white writing piece of paper that goes on the left of the back is 2 by 5 1/4 inches. And your colored paper or your display paper of sorts, whatever you want to use, even an embossed piece of paper would work there nicely, is 1 3/4 by 5 1/4 to go on this side. And that's going to just go under the edge of the front so that you see it all the way on the front. If you want a second layer, like this one, I put the green and then I put the yellow polka dot. So if you want a second layer, then the second layer would be 1.5 by 5. So I'll leave this on screen here for a second in case you want to pause and write some notes. I suggest you take your card, just like I have done, and cut it, fold it, and make all the markings on it, and then you have your completed card when you're done. Okay? There's your behind front layer, and there's your completed card. So, that one's done. Let's move on to the next one. The next one are your stand-up cards. I love these. They're so cute. Sorry, that one's upside down. There we go. So, you can do a wide one or you can do the tall one. Now, if you're going to do a wide one, we'll do this one first. This one opens from the bottom, and you have your writing piece inside, your designer piece or embossed piece, whatever, and then your sentiment is on dimensionals popped up in the air. Okay? The front folds. Your front sentiment is only on half of the card on the front because it's going to prop here beside that and it's going to stand up. Okay? So that is the wide width sideways card. Now, I apologize, I know the orange is a little dark. For this card, you are going to cut your 8.5 by 11 paper in the middle to get your typical 4.5 by 5 card. You're going to fold it in half, score it and fold it, and then you're going to turn it sideways because you're going to have it opening at the bottom. So score mark in the middle of the front of your card to make your little tent. Your score mark is 2 1/8 inch. Across the middle, that's where you score it. All right. Your paper layer for the top and the bottom is 2 by 5 1/4. 2 by 5 1/4. Whether it's a print or a solid or whatever you're using. That's your paper layer. Your stand-up layer can be any size you want. This is the size I choose to use. It gives a nice border around. You can use an oval, a circle. You can use anything you want for your stand-up layer. So, this is a layer I like to use. As you can see, that's my layer. So the stand-up layer I use is 4 1/2 by 3 1/4. The second inner layer, if you want to layer that one, is 4 1/4 by 3. And then your third layer, or your white layer that you want to stamp and put your sentiments on, is 4 by 2 3/4. Now when you have that layer finished, make sure, center where you want it to go, and lift up your page, and make sure that you are only gluing the bottom half of that to attach to the front layer. You might want to even fold that and glue it down so that you don't get any glue on the back piece by mistake. If you're using tape runner, you can just use a tape runner and make a little square inside and then attach it to it. Okay, so there is your front for the tent card. Then inside, your white writing layer is 2 inches by 5 1/4. For in here, that's the upper layer on the top. And then your dimensional layer is 2 inches by 5 1/4 for the bottom. If you want a second layer, then that would be 1 3/4 inches by 5. Then you're going to top it with your sentiment. Okay, so you're going to top that with your sentiment so that when you stand your card up, the sentiment is on dimensionals so that it has something to prop against to keep it standing. And then your note is hidden underneath when your card is on display. Okay, so there's the sideways one. And then we have the tall one. Tall one, same idea. You're going to cut your paper lengthwise instead. 4 1/4 inches, top to bottom, the full 11 inches. You're going to score it at 5 1/2, fold it over. There's your card. Okay, this is your 5 1/2, this is your 4 1/4. So your 4 1/4 inch is your width, same as the other card. So let's go to this one. So your paper layer, you're going to score the front at 2 3/4 for the fold to make your tent. So you're scoring it right in the middle, 2 3/4 inches. The paper layer for the top half is 2 1/2 by 4 inches, as well as the bottom, 2 1/2 by 4 inches. Now, when you glue on your squares, again, don't forget, only glue it to half. I use the same square for this one as I did for this one. It's just turned the other way. So these measurements stand the same for the tall card as they do for the sideways card, for your stand-up layer, your second and third layers to make your square. Okay, so that's for this. And on the inside, this is the 5 1/2 in height, your white writing layer. Now, I had used a piece 2 by 4, but it would actually be 2 3/4 by 4 if you wanted to make it evenly half. I don't know why I used a 2-inch piece. It's just what I used at the time, I guess. So, but you can make that 2 3/4 by 4 and bring that down closer to the the printed paper. Now, paper dimensional layer. This printed paper is 2 3/4 by 4. If you wanted a second inside layer on that, it'd be 2 1/2 by 3 3/4. And then you're going to top with your sentiment to be able to stand your card and prop your card against your sentiment. So you're top with your sentiment, whatever sentiment you want to use. Circles, squares, tags, anything at all. Just has to go on dimensionals so your card has somewhere to rest when it's standing. Okay, so there's those two. And this one. I just love this one. It's one of my favorites. Okay, These cards are so cute. They stand up okay. They're just kind of different, but they're unique, and there's lots of writing space on them. Okay, so let's get to this card. Now this card is also cut top to bottom, 4.25 wide, the full 11 inches. And then you score it at 5.5, and you fold your card in the middle just like you normally would when you're making a tall card, okay, or a wide sideways card. Now, what you're going to do here though, this card is 5.5. On the front, you're not going to fold it. You're not going to score it and fold it like the other cards. We're actually going to cut this one off. So you have your 5.5 card length in the front. You're going to cut off 2 3/4 inches off of the front and just leave a flap. So you're going to have a short flap on the front. So cut off 2 3/4 inches, and then you're going to turn that piece and put it sideways on the fold. So this is connected this way instead, leaving a border out around your square. So cut the front in half, turn this sideways, and then that becomes the front of your card. So let's look at our layers. For the front layer, this is 2 3/4 by 4.25. So the inner layer on top of that would be 4 by 2.5, and then you're going to top it with the sentiment, or however you're going to make your design. So that's this square, okay? The flat part of the card, the first inner layer on here would be 2.5 by 4, which would be the white layer in this image. And the second inner layer would be 2 1/4 by 3 3/4, which would be this blue printed one. Okay? And then you're going to attach that to the front. On the inside, the stamping and writing layer, I usually make it all white because I'm going to stamp on the outer edges what you see in the front of the card, and I have lots of writing room left over. So it's 5 1/4 by 4, and that covers the whole back. So you can see here it's the whole square. And then once my card's together, I close it, and then I do the stamping so that I know what I'm going to see around the edge of the card in the front. Okay, so there's your inner layer, and there's your front layer that you're going to cut this piece off. There's the measurements for the front layer, and then here's your front piece that you're going to create to attach. And again, same thing when you're gluing, kind of find your spot where you want it, and flip your card open maybe when you glue it, and leave it this way so that you don't get any glue on the underside of your card by mistake. Alright, so there's that one. Really like these. They're just so cute. There's that one. And if you happen to have caught my first video that I did, I had these quick layer references for card layers, and I just created one in every color and every different size, and then I wrote them all on the front. So when I'm layering paper or cardstock or stamp layers, whatever, I can quickly look at this and see how much of a layer I want, how far apart I want them, how much I want showing, and just which color references right there. So I keep all of these on my desk. I just keep all these cheat sheets on my desk. I make them up in different colors, and I just keep a stack of them on my desk all the time. So when I'm making cards, I can just grab one. I know the yellow neon one is the fun fold. You know, I know the orange ones are the stand-up cards, and so on. And anytime I need them, they're right there. I grab them, and I don't have to constantly be thinking of the numbers. So I hope these tips were helpful to you, and you can put them to good use. I strongly recommend that you make your own. You know, pause this video, look at the measurements, cut yours out, write them down, and make yourself your own set of reference cards for quick card making. So Anyway, happy crafting, people, and I hope these tips were helpful for you today. Thanks for watching.